Well, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Nella-Ewa Rabana, a former Cross River State Attorney General, and Mona Lisa Chinda, a rights advocate, now join us. Ladies, good to see you all. Sometimes I should have left this. I should have left this for Ngozi. Angie, being that it's an International Women's Day, I think today I should have been off the news and just let you have a go at it.
Okay, so I'll just take it from here there. Nella Andem-Ewa is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and of course, Mona Lisa Chinda runs a foundation devoted to the cause of women. Let me start with the Senior Advocate. So good to have you here. And let me say happy International Women's Day to you first off. Let's start, let's look at it from the, law, the legal aspect and how it can empower this whole talk about women inclusion and all of that. It's been said that Nigeria needs to push for reforms that can actually empower, the Nigerian women. Where do you stand on that, and how can that be realized?
That's a very correct position because the over 100 years, this day, that's the 8th of March, has been designated and tagged International Women's Day, which is a global concern. But from the legal perspective, what I believe is most important are policies that are backed by law. A lot of the policies are not enforced, and they're not enforced because, or they haven't linked them, for instance, to the issues on human rights, because it is a human rights issue. But when you don't monitor, and when you're not deliberate, then it depends, it's at your whim and at your caprice that we evolve and include. Because like this year, which is Inspire Inclusion, I think it's very apt. For you to maximize growth in any nation, and in fact to have a better world, you really have to value every member of society. You have to allow and recognize the capacities, the competencies, the values that women bring. Beyond domestic values, there's so much. The countries that have dared, you can see the difference. I would, because in the military, for instance, in some countries, women and men alike, what is important is how capable and how competent are you. And that encourages merit. So coming back to my country, coming back to Nigeria, I was excited to see that the National Assembly, for instance, celebrated the day. The purpose of the celebration is first to celebrate those women that have broken the glass ceiling and have encouraged. And by reminding ourselves every year, the women who are alive and have opportunities will, in the spirit of those who have broken the glass barrier, continue to participate and contribute to the development and the general good of whatever nation and whatever country. I mentioned specifically, although I noticed a lot of banks wrote absolutely brilliant and catchy references, which were actually all true. But I noted particularly the National Assembly because they have a lot to do.
Well, anyway, we'll come back so that you can expatiate and tell us some more. And Mona Lisa, good to see you. It looks like an all-women affair tonight, but for me, like a stain in the whole mix. So listen to the Senior Advocate. Please help us make sense of what else we are not catching in on, because good thing, the campaign is on year in, year out, and it looks like we're getting more and more corporate bodies, individuals key into it, but there's still a lot to be done, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. There's still a lot to be done. The awareness is gaining momentum. I mean, the fact that we are all gathering together every year to celebrate women, to celebrate us as resilient women, it's something to be proud of. And if you look at what happened, the theme of last year is clearly not the same as this year. This year we're talking about counting her in, and the inspire inclusion. And we can't stop because we feel maybe all these years all we do is talk about it. We can't stop. We have to keep sounding it. We have to keep announcing ourselves, and in different ways all over the world, especially in Africa and in Nigeria, that is very peculiar to us. We can't stop not talking about us, being counted in every spheres of life, in every workings in this country as far as women are concerned. So yeah.
Well, Mona Lisa, let me quickly still stay with you. You have this foundation, Arise Women, incidentally named namesake of our station. It's almost like this is an Arise project. But tell us, how you are helping to better the lot of the Nigerian woman, briefly, before we come back to the Senior Advocate of Nigeria here.
I've been doing this for a long time, even though it's just not been, announced on the media. I've been doing this for a long time, making sure that women are always being counted in, young people being given the voice. They need to be heard. They need to unleash their potentials in every way possible. I've been doing this for a pretty much long time, and like I said, yes, the country is difficult for everybody at the moment, but we can't stop. Every year, we have to keep announcing, talking about what we have to do to be counted, to be part of government and all of that. So yeah, I mean, I have created this platform for young women, young people, and it's been. Even though collaboration is usually very difficult, I have decided to collaborate with somebody. It has always been me, myself, and getting young people to be part of my initiative. But this time around, I'm collaborating with a management company to see that this particular year's theme will be successful for this year. And so far, so good, yeah.
Okay, I bring in the senior advocate. You were talking about laws because there are some of these things that need to be legislated upon for us to get the right push. Help us make sense. By the way, you just commended the National Assembly. We saw the Senate President and others just yesterday and also today. What are the key things, key concerns, specifically looking at engaging women and talented women that the country needs to bring to bear to ensure that these are not swept under the carpet?
Thank you. In order to respond to the question, let me demonstrate something that happened not too long ago. Out of 68 bills, only 5 related to women. The last time we sought to amend the Constitution. And that's why I said at the beginning that I was quite happy to see them on the front page, because I felt that hopefully in their administration they would pay closer attention. It's not about just celebrating. It's not about just celebrating women. It's not about just celebrating the day, but it is more about mainstreaming women, making sure that in all aspects and all facets of life and work, that they can participate on equal footing. Some countries have the issue of different wages for the different genders for the same job. We don't necessarily have that. But nobody would, if you say, in fact, if you find even a welder that is a woman, for her to be trained by somebody would be a mean feat. It would be, and that's because of the perception. So you have cultural challenges that make ordinarily people who should be involved vulnerable.
Right. Let me stay with you, Senior Advocate. I mean, no country really has, in all honesty, been able to achieve gender parity. But what can Nigeria do, in practical terms, to make it, to improve it? And then again, there's a rural woman. I mean, if anybody's left out of the scheme of things, is the woman in the rural area who doesn't even know that she's being celebrated today.
Brilliant. I think, going by your question, Nigeria can do a lot. It is doing, by the way. There are initiatives that you would recognize as being helpful. But having said that, let's take politics, for instance.
Right.
How easy is it for a woman to start up and fight in a man's world to take a political office? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you should give women a free lunch. No, we are talking of allowing room for those who can perform and who can deliver to even be heard, which is why this whole, the topic for this year, as I said, is so, in my opinion, apt. Because if you do not mainstream women, that is in all different, so it's not that certain offices, there's an expectation that a woman should take it. Even in the board, most of the time, no matter how educated and exposed, the chairman is a man, and then you have vice. They even think, even by conduct, by attitude, it appears that if you are looking for a vice person, it should be a woman. Those things are not, so Nigeria has a lot to do in its policies. And also in evaluation. If we have programs where, like every year, like for instance, you check, this is where we were before, this is where we are now, then we will begin to have traction and not just speaking. The trade, for instance, this whole idea of inclusiveness also includes access to funding, access to funds. How do you help these women? Like you talked about the women in trade. How do you teach them and expose them and help them by little funds? Because I know in East Asia, that one of the policies that earned that economist the position that he got was because he felt that women are the ones who will quickly return the money that you give them to do business. So because of that, he encouraged soft loans, soft facilities for women to do business. Those are the kinds of things that we're talking about. How do you empower women in trade, for instance? What are the policies and what are the incentives and how do you encourage women to have a minimum understanding of how to do business? Absolutely. How do you educate the girl child? Today she's a girl, tomorrow
she's a woman.
She's a woman. So when you're deliberating those policies, the impact is clear. So the question that you asked, how would Nigeria should be more deliberate, but it should also put in place a mechanism to monitor all these numerous, because we have lofty policies. Make no mistake, the policies are there. But we need them to be backed by law and also to be monitored, evaluated, and reported, so you can assess whether or not it's not just talk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Right, we still have Mona Lisa. Sulai.
Well, Melissa, your takeaway, because we're wrapping up this. So what will be your projection for the coming years for that young lady and woman?
I didn't quite catch, I was, the microphone was out, so I wasn't able to catch what she was saying.
Well, good thing you can hear me now. So
Yeah.
we're rounding off. So
Yes.
I'm asking, what do you see in the foreseeable future for the Nigerian woman?
Well, I'm seeing us being in the front burner in the social space, in the political space, taking decisions, and being encouraged in every way possible, because we have a lot to offer. So we are hoping that by next year we'll fully be counted in this time. So yeah.
Fully be counted in. It's a good place to live in. Thank you so much for joining us. Nella Andem-Ewa Rabana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, former Attorney General of Cross River State, and Monalisa Chinda, who runs an Arise Women Foundation. Thank you, both of you, for joining us. And I'll thank myself too. I'm a lady.